Hey there. From the time that we're born, we are in a world of comparisons. I mean, almost everything we do, everything we say, every place we go, every place we stay, we are comparing ourselves to others, our experiences, our everything about us. But why? This is a cause of anxiety, depression, and stress. And you know what? We're going to talk about it in just one moment. Hey, hi there, everybody. Welcome to Stress Talk Live with Marcyline. This is the place where we help women over 40 to live healthier lives through strategic stress management and solution focused self care. As I've said, I am Marcyline, and I'm so glad that you joined me today. I'm excited to be here with you. This is our fourth season for Stress Talk Live. How about that? Yay! I am excited about that. 4 seasons. Four. Wow. That's to me, that's a landmark. So I hope you're celebrating with me. And yes, this is episode one. Episode one. I wanted to talk about a subject that is a little different than what we've been talking about. We've been talking about stress and ways to alleviate stress, ways to get lower our stress levels, right? We've been talking about things that we can do externally in our environment as well as internally. Well, today I wanted to talk about something that um, is that happens all the time, that goes on all the time, that's almost programmed in us from the time that we're born. Actually, it may be programmed in us while we are in utero, while we're being carried during our mother's pregnancy. And that is comparison. Comparing ourselves and our lives and different aspects of our lives, different aspects of who we are to others, and what that does to us, why we do it. So I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to share some healthy responses to that so that as we begin the new year, we can possibly incorporate those healthy responses into our day-to-day lives. How about that? What do you think? Does it sound good? I hope so. So, as usual, I am going to ask you to follow ML Bailey Consultants on Instagram and Facebook, as well as YouTube. This is where I drop content all the time um, as it relates to women over 40 and stress. I'm going to expand that a little bit this year, and I'm going to include topics that contribute to overwhelming stress. So you're going to also see content related to grief, loss, anxiety, as well as depression. So please follow me on ML Bailey Consultants. The other thing that I'd like to ask you to do is sign up for our newsletter. Right now, it comes out monthly. And again, I'm going to expand the content in the newsletter to include grief, loss, anxiety, and depression because those are contributors to stress. You will find shortly that the ML Bailey Consultants website is will be updated. I'm working on that now. So, to make it easier to navigate, as well as to make it clear as to what I'm doing and why. So, in the next few weeks, you will, yeah, fingers crossed, you will see a revamped website with easier navigation as well as resources related to what we do at ML Bailey Consultants. So let's get started. Hey, you know what? I didn't ask you how your holiday was and how the holiday season was for you. So if you like, even if you're watching this as a replay, drop in the comment section how your holiday was. We had a wonderful holiday. We had an opportunity to spend time with our children and with my mom and my aunt. Both are sporty, 80 years old, 80s, in their 80s, although you wouldn't know it. Um, and my other aunt wasn't able to join us this time, but she's a sporty 80 octogenarian as well. So when you have role models like that, women who are in their 80s who are still living life and doing it to the fullest, it's really a blessing. But we had a wonderful, wonderful time with them. So, okay, I'm going to stop talking about holidays and let's get to the topic at hand. Okay, so we are talking about comparisons, and I thought about, what are we actually comparing? When we think about comparisons, we are really dealing with what's good, what's better, and what's best, right? That's how we think about it. We think about it's really not um, an equanimity or equality to those comparisons. We're actually trying to figure out what is better than what is better than. So when I when I came up with this title, um, I was thinking, yeah, we're looking at what's good. I may consider what I'm doing good, but I may look at someone else and I might compare it to what they're doing, and I might say, oh, what they're doing is better. And then I might encounter someone else who is doing something, and I might determine, oh, that's even best, right? When we deal with comparisons, and as I said before, it's almost as if it begins in utero. I was looking at um, I was looking at pictures when I was developing when I was writing a blog about a similar topic, and what I found is that I found these pictures of women comparing the size of their abdomens as during pregnancy. And I was thinking, that's quite interesting that, they are actually comparing the size of their abdomens. And as I was looking at those pictures, I was thinking, and they're probably saying, well, how far along are you? Wondering, asking those questions. We live in a world where comparisons are very prominent in our lives. There are three key comparisons that I want to talk about in this segment. And later on in the segment, I'm going to talk about several other key comparisons. The first set of comparisons relates to figure, features, and fashion. And you can probably guess that these comparisons um, are about body and body image. You know, what kind of figure do you have? What are your features? What type of clothing do you wear? And how do you wear it? Well, as I was thinking about that, I was thinking I want you to ask this question of yourself. What is authentic beauty? What is authentic beauty? What is it? What creates authenticity when it comes to beauty? Because when we're talking about authenticity, and when we're talking about beauty, we're comparing ourselves to a standard that may not fit us. It may not fit who we are. It may not fit what we look like. It may not fit ourselves. Authentic beauty is actually determined culturally because each culture has an opinion or a view of what authentic beauty is in that culture. It's determined by family experiences. Um, when That's been passed down, right? That's been passed down through generations. In our community, if you're fair complexioned, how are you viewed related to someone who is of a darker complexion? And I know that that's global. It is global. If are of another culture, the texture of your hair may determine if your hair texture and the length of your hair is beautiful as it's considered in that culture or in that family. Oftentimes I think that with families, the beauty is measured by the perks that one gets, the perks or the perks or the benefits one gets because of how they look, and those become the prized or the praised features. But there's also something else that determines authentic beauty or influences our view of authentic beauty, and that's promotion and marketing and sales, right? Think about the commercials that you see on a day to day basis. Who's in those commercials? Think about when you look at a magazine, who's on the cover of those magazines? When you look at social media, who do we see? In print media, in social media, on television, televised media, we don't see people we usually see people who we are told are beautiful, either because of how they are dressed, because of their size, because of their shape, because of their figure, because of their features. They may have soft features. They might have chiseled features. They may have long, straight hair. But we are told repeatedly that these are the models that we should strive to look like. That's why diet, diet programs and diet supplements are so popular because beautiful people are very thin or slim. They're not curvaceous, they're not curvy. But that's not reality, is it? It's not reality for the majority of us. The majority of us are not very slim. And we once were, probably, but we may not be now that we're over 40, right? So when we're talking about comparisons, we're talking about authentic beauty. What is authentic beauty? And we're also talking about who defines it. And I talked a little bit about that. Who defines it? Who defines whether it is authentic or not? Who defines authentic beauty? Who defines it? Again, familial experiences where certain people in the family who had certain features, certain look about them were more accepted in the general population or more accepted in the family because they were able to progress and advance more so than others. Magazines define it. Magazines, especially beauty and home life magazines, are really geared towards white middle class women. Just being honest, white middle class women. So those are the images that are very prevalent in those magazines. Images that are attractive to that population. And then we talked about social media. And then social media, we're talking about people who are young and hip and with it, right? So where's a place for someone like me with gray hair? So we want to be very clear about figure, features, and fashion, and exactly the messages that we are being given and the messages that are ruminating in our mind about what those messages are saying to us and about us. Because oftentimes, what we're seeing is that you must be white complexion or fair complexion. You must have long flowing hair. You should be slim or thin, and you should have delicate features in order to be accepted in the larger scheme of things. So if I am not that, what does that mean for me? It means that I may strive to be that. I have to work to be that. It means that if I am not that, my self-esteem may struggle, or maybe not. But these are messages that are constantly being fed to us and constantly being fed to our children. So if you're watching, even if you're watching on the replay, how just think about, and you don't have to put an answer in the comment section, but just think about how have you compared your appearance, your body type, your image to others? And how has that served you? How has that been helpful? Just take a moment to think about it. The next set of comparisons are comparisons that we often find in the workplace. And these comparisons relate to power, place, and position. We're in a competitive world. And because it's competitive, we're often in situations where we want to demonstrate our ambition. And in order to do that, we have to be in a certain place. We have to be in a place where we are noticed, right? We have to show those who have power and position that we are ambitious and that we are good for the company. And so sometimes that puts us in a position or a situation where we do so to the detriment of someone else, or it is done to us. Someone who's ambitious, who wants to climb, who wants to move forward, who wants to show the things that they can do, may do us in because of that ambition, because they want to be in a place or a position where they have power and influence. And so, ambition is an area of competition, or it drives competition in the workplace. As I was doing some research, I saw that women struggle in this area because, you have mean girls in the workplace too. You have mean girls who hand out levy microaggressions. You have women who are climbing, and they're going to do so regardless of who is around them and who's in their way. So ambition is one of those things that causes competition, and it's also one of those things that contributes to stress. Maybe not necessarily for the person who is ambitious, but for the person who is has difficulty because of someone else's ambition. Another area of competition is what? Money. Money, 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 money. Money. Okay, for any OJ fans, money is another area of competition. The higher your rank, the higher your position, the more responsibilities you have, the more money you tend to make. At least that's how it usually is, right? And so when someone is looking to gain power, place, or position, they're also wanting to make more money. They want to make more money. Additionally, and it's not always about money, it's not always about ambition, but favor plays a big role in competition when it comes to the workplace. Because when you have favor, although you don't have power, place, or position, you can influence programming, you can influence policies, and you can influence procedures. You can be one of those power players that works undercover, right? Because you can get to the people who have power, place, and position. This, again, is about competition if it's used that way. Favor with people who are in power, place, and position also carries with it a feeling of stability as well as security. If you know them and they know you, then hey, you don't have to worry about losing your job because they may look out for you. Competition. And so when you have people, women in particular, who are jockeying because they want more money, they want to earn more money, because they're ambitious, because they want favor, because they want power, place, and position, it can raise the stress levels in the environment as well as for individuals who have struggles because of that. Well, let's talk about microaggressions for a few minutes before I talk about how we can respond in a healthy manner to the competitions that we experience that raise our stress levels. First of all, microaggressions impact our psychological safety. And when we're talking about microaggressions, we're talking about a few different things. And I'm going to just read a list. This list came from the McKinsey report of 2023. In the McKinsey report, they talked about microaggressions and how they affect women, particularly women of color. Number one, Others take credit for your ideas. You share an idea, and then someone who has favor or power, place, or position uses that idea and gets credit for it. Judgment. Your judgment is questioned. People wonder if you know what you're doing, if you know what you're saying, and you're constantly having to prove yourself in the workplace. Another microaggression is being confused with someone else. They look at you, but they think you're somebody else. Why? Because you're of the same race or color or hue, and they think you're somebody else because they've not looked at your face and they've never spoken to you, or if they have, they've not had a meaningful conversation. That's a microaggression. Having your position or your title make someone assuming that you are in a junior position when you're actually the boss, or that you are not in a position of authority just by virtue of being who you are. Constantly having people comment about your appearance. Oh, you look so nice today, as if they're surprised. Oh, I just love that. It's microaggression. I would never have thought to wear that, but it looks so good on you. Microaggressions. Also, commenting on your emotional state. Are you okay? You look like you're not in a good mood today. Did something happen? It has been found that women of color struggle because of these microaggressions, and it causes extreme stress in the workplace. Why? Because we have to try to figure out if we're going to address it or if we're just going to let it go. Just think about that for a second. Should we address it or let it go? If we address it, we come across or we appear to be angry Black women, no matter how nicely we say it or we respond. So we want to, I'm bringing this up because we all, if you're a person of color, you are experiencing these microaggressions and you're having to make a choice, and it does increase your stress level. And when we are under constant stress and constant strain, it is a pathway towards anxiety and depression. So, what are some things that we can do to respond to these things in a healthy way? Number one, first of all, just be yourself. Just be who you are. Be the good, better, best person you can be, whether that's in the workplace or whether that's in the community. Just be you. Value your gifts, your talents, and your abilities without comparison. You don't have to compare yourself to anybody. Someone told me today, hey, God didn't make us to be individual for, for a bad reason. We're individual for a good reason. We are unique, and that is wonderful. And we need to embrace ourselves without trying to be like anybody else, especially somebody who is totally different than us. They have to be them. My grandmother used to say, every tub has to sit on its own bottom. And that is so true. That's a valuable statement because we need to be ourselves in every way and embrace ourselves in our own uniqueness. Second, presence. Presence is when we can walk into a room and command attention. I have been blessed to be that person, to just walk into the room and command all eyes on me, not because of anything other than just being myself. And I have seen that happen when others have walked in the room to the point where I was like, who is that person? I'd like to get to know them because All eyes were on them. They grabbed the attention of everyone. When you want to build your presence, you can do it in the following ways. Focus on others more than yourself. Others become the most important. Ask open minded and reflective questions. Questions that are not yes, no, but questions that you can ask so that you are seeking to understand. You also want to listen to understand. That means that you are attending to the conversation and not just, asking a question and then looking at other things, but you are being thoughtfully attentive to the conversation and thoughtfully attentive to that person. Also, avoid judgments. Know your biases. I'm not saying you can't have biases. I'm just saying be aware of them, but keep them in perspective. And then finally, put your phone down. Put that phone down. Erica Badu has a song and it says, I can make you put your phone down. Put the phone down. Get away from the keyboard and pay attention. Eyes on the person you're conversing with, and that person becomes the only person that matters at that time. That's how you build your presence. That's how, when you walk into a room, all the eyes will be on you because of your presence. The next thing is peace. The Buddha said that the lack of peace is suffering. When we're not experiencing peace in our lives, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, we are suffering. We're suffering. We are suffering. So we want to be in peace. How do we do that? First, we want to set an intention that leads us to that. And when we set an intention, a daily intention, a weekly intention, a monthly intention, a annual intention, all of our actions, our behaviors, our beliefs, our thoughts must filter through that intention. And we can only walk in that intention as long as all of those things filter through that. And basically what that means is, if you want to be in peace, that means that all of your thoughts have to be of peaceful thoughts. There can't be any judgment, any criticism. Now, there can be critique. I'm not saying you can't give constructive feedback. That's different than criticism. That's different than judgment. It means that everything filters through that intention. The other thing is meditation. Mindful meditation helps us to look inward, and it actually helps us to work things out on the inside, because whatever's on the inside is going to come out on the outside. And that's where we can get to our authentic beauty, when what is on the inside is authentic, is real, is peaceful, and it illuminates what's on the outside. So, I have been talking about good, better, best, the comparisons that cause anxiety, depression, and stress. I've shared several ways that we can respond to this in a healthy manner. Being ourselves, being present, and being in peace. Well, that's all for now. I'm so glad that you joined me on this first episode of Stress Talk Live. Look forward to seeing you all again next week, as usual, same time, same place. I'm Marcyline Bailey. That's all for now. Take good care.